With me right now from Harvard Eye Associates is Dr. Brian Kim, and it's always a pleasure to have you on, Doctor, once again. And over the years, we've had all the great doctors from Harvard Eye, and obviously your dad. We'll have to get him back one time.
Yeah, we'll try and get him
All
back.
right.
Yeah.
We're going to talk today about, I'm going to let you pronounce this.
Sure, choroidal nevi and choroidal melanomas.
Okay.
It being Halloween today, I thought I'd talk about the scariest possible thing that we could
Okay.
have in the eye, and that's cancer. So
Yeah, and I can see where that would be. People
Sure.
hear, of course, melanoma, and that word they think of skin cancer. Am I right?
Exactly right. Yeah, and we can get things like pigmentary changes that we see on the eyes, and sometimes people can see that in the mirror, on the white part of the eye or on the iris themselves. We can sometimes see that, but inside the eye, if we dilate your eyes and look through your pupil into your retina, sometimes we have freckles that are there, and the technical term for freckle is nevus. So that's what we're going to start talking about today. This is a very common condition, actually. About 1 in 20 Caucasians have it, actually, and about 2 or 3% of non-Caucasian people actually have one. So,
if that's common, does it mean it's a cancer or melanoma, or it's just
a freckle?
Okay, just like a freckle.
Like a freckle on the skin, exactly right. The hard part about it is that, unlike skin, which you can monitor yourself at home and see if it is, oh, this is growing, or I'm concerned about this, you can't see the ones in your eyes, and they typically don't affect you. They don't cause any vision changes or problems at all. So,
okay. As far as what causes this, is it going to be, well, a person who has blue eyes over brown eyes or something like that? You know how we sometimes associate with skin cancer somebody who's very fair may get it quicker. I don't know if that's true, but you hear that.
Yeah, we see that association, people who are of fairer skin, fairer colored irises.
Okay.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. We're not really certain exactly as to why people get these, but we see that there seems to be a predominance of them of people in the Sun Belt and the lower regions of the United States, and also of the aging population. Now, we don't know if that's something that's necessarily linked to sun exposure, or most people who after retirement they settle down in the southern warmer areas of the United States. So we don't know if it's a result of age or sun exposure. The jury's still out on that, but and some people are just born with this. So
and it can manifest later on.
That's exactly right. So.
All right, so we got your first slide up here. So explain what we're seeing.
So we're looking at the retina into the eye, and we're looking at, this is a picture of somebody who has a freckle or a choroidal nevus, and you can see it's that darkish, kind of greenish brownish pigmentation that's there, and that's not something, surprisingly, that's right in the middle of somebody's macula, right in the middle of their vision, but would not notice it. Would not notice it. So that might be something that would be picked up only on a routine screening examination or an annual examination. Occasionally people can become symptomatic from it and have blurry vision or distortion, but typically not. Typically not. So.
And obviously, as it says in the slide here, you would monitor the growth of it.
That's exactly right. We usually watch that on about an annual basis to make sure it's not increasing in size. So.
Okay, so on the next slide, it shows the I guess a different form, right? Again, I'm not going to try and pronounce it.
So that's right.
Something like that.
So the choroidal melanoma on the next slide, we think that most of these arise from pre-existing nevi or pre-existing freckles in your eye, and so some of them just grow out of control and they turn into cancer. Again, depending on where it's located, you may not have symptoms of blurry vision or pain until it's really pretty late in the process. So again, we watch those freckles very closely, and we try to treat melanomas or at the earliest possible time.
Okay. Now the next slide is exactly what you talked about, treatment. So this is what can you? I mean, is this treated like a normal cancer would be with chemotherapy or radiation?
Typically, you're absolutely right. When you think of cancer, you think of either surgical excision, taking it out, or treating it with chemotherapy. And depending on where these are located, very rarely can we actually surgically remove them because you lose vision at the same time. So what we typically do is the most common treatment is actually with radiation, where we can actually put a little radioactive plaque or a little piece of metal and patch it to the outside of the eye. And it sort of irradiates, it targets the treatment towards the cancer, and it can cause that to shrink and stop growing. So.
Does it stay there, or is it the treatment like a few minutes, or you're
it's a few
living
days,
with this?
yeah. We basically sew a patch onto the outside of the eye, and then a couple days, depending on the size of and the strength of the radiation needed, we take that patch off, and and it does a very good job of it. So of gaining momentum in the medical field is also external beam radiation, and a lot of people, things like gamma knife is the popular term for it, but yeah, we can use external beam radiation at certain hospitals or certain centers across the country, which doesn't require that surgical treatment.
Yeah, that sounds like a popular option that will be popular. Now, what about with melanoma on the skin? It's always a possibility that if it's not treated or caught in time, it can metastasize. Is that the same with this, or is this isolated within the eye?
That's exactly right. With any melanomas are malignant cancers, meaning that they can spread to any parts of the body. And in the eye, the most common location is actually the liver, because spreading through the blood.
Wow.
But being in such close proximity, it's obviously very close to the brain.
Right.
And so that's of another concern. But yes, there is unfortunately a mortality rate to this kind of cancer, and something that can go undetected or unnoticed until its late stages.
Right.
So another reason that we encourage annual visits.
Yeah, so this would be caught in a routine
pretty typically, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, either on regular screening photographs with your eye doctor, or preferably a full dilated eye examination. So.
Okay. Now, what about as far as people who are affected by this? I know you said they're not quite sure. What about an age group? Do you see this in younger kids, middle age, or mainly older folks?
Typically, we see this in all age groups, but the concentration is predominantly after the age of 55. So, yeah, there's a preponderance to it, and we don't know again if this is related to cumulative sun exposure or if this is something that's related to just age. So,
yeah. Well, I'm sure you would encourage, whether you know the actual answer or not, you would always encourage people to protect your eyes, sunglasses,
absolutely,
whatever sunglasses. You're doing.
Exactly right.
When it's foggy out, like yesterday and cloudy, I have sunglasses on.
Perfect.
I know, because if I start just squinting a little bit, I live in sunglasses, so. Maybe I'm just so used to them, I can barely even walk outside without them now.
That's right.
But, it's good protection, and it's an expensive protection, and it could help in the long run, right?
Yep, you're absolutely right.
All right. Well, if you want an appointment with Dr. Kim, you can call 949-951-2020. And if it's not with him, they have other fine doctors over there. If anything, get your eyes examined. It's once a year, you think is
yes,
good?
Please.
Okay. And if things are clear, that's fine. If they maybe catch something, then you'd be back sooner.
That's right.
All right. Always good to see you.
Nice to see you.
Say hi to your
Thanks
dad
so
and
much for
everyone
having
else.
us.
Yeah, it's great. Love having you guys on. We'll be back.